Welcome back to the channel. Came across this Lapeef Network panel, and Pretty Intellectual was having a debate with a middle-aged man, and they started having conversations around femininity and submission. And this crazy moment happened during the show where Pretty Intellectual is going to prove that Western women, but in particular Black Western women, go very far to evade the things that men traditionally find valuable in women. And this sort of tactic that she's going to try to use just speaks to how unwilling a lot of women are to have this conversation from a research and data standpoint, and they are just firing from the hip emotionally. Hit the subscribe button, also the notification bell. Let's not waste 1 minute.
I have absolutely no idea. Like Bo, I'm not that type of statistician, but for those of us who are active, according to the U.S. Department of, I forgot what it was. I just had a brain fart because I'm middle aged and I'm tired, and y'all keep me up late. But we are supposed to be the most involved and active fathers. But I don't know a father personally, anecdotally speaking, who wouldn't at least maim, if not go further, if it comes to protecting their daughters. Period, point blank. I love the Second Amendment for that very reason.
Go ahead, Pretty.
So a couple things were said. Number one, whenever we have this conversation about how many men are actually these harmful people, unalived women, even though we know globally a woman is unalived every 10 minutes, right? And we know that it's a silent epidemic, and we know that it's a problem. I guess if we need to say how many men before we address it and consider the majority of men, then I would say how many police officers need to unalive Black men before we consider it a problem. So it does not need to be a majority. We should never ask for it to be a majority before we act. That's literally the antithesis of protection. It's as if you have a house, you see a roach, and you're like, well, it's not the majority. It's only one roach. No, you unalive, you kill the roach.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
When you see it, you kill it. That's it. You don't need to wait for it to be a majority. You don't need to wait for it to manifest. You don't need to wait for it to multiply before you decide, hey, let me act on this. Protection is proactive. What you have explained, Dave, is vengeance, which is reactive. 1 second. The harm has already occurred. Protection, the beginning of the word pro, it means before. So if we're sitting here talking about what I'm going to do if my kid is already harmed, it's already happened. So yes, I'm sure she's so happy that after she has been raped or essayed or whatever, that her dad's going to go take the life of the person and end up in jail his whole life. Now she's without her father and she's traumatized. Sure, she might be happy about that. But protection would mean let's address the concept of the threat before the threat happens. And us talking about it before it becomes a majority is how we would address that threat before that threat becomes a problem. The second thing, or it becomes the majority, right? The second thing I'm going to say is on the concept of feminism. Black women didn't get tricked by feminism. Maria Stewart, if you guys look her up, was one of the first Black women who were known to speak about feminism, and that was in 1806. Black women have been speaking on this for a long time. The only problem is, as with everything that you guys should know, being Black men, even when you guys had creations, what happened? It was stolen by white men, right? So don't you believe that the concept of feminism and women's rights could be stolen from Black women by white women? You don't think that's possible? We didn't get tricked. We always knew that women deserved rights. We always fought for those rights. We didn't get tricked by white women, invented it. That is what you call it.
Does it really matter who the originator is of a bad idea? An idea that over time hasn't really worked out for women? Because if you really pay attention to what's going on out here in the dating market, feminism hasn't worked out for modern day women. I don't think that they're happier. I don't think that they are doing better with men. I don't think that their relationships are healthier. I think that they're even more separated from their families than they've ever been because of feminism, even just aside from talking about men. Let's get back into it.
Internalized white supremacy. You believe they're the creators and the authors of all of these things, and we're just being tricked by them and manipulated them, when Black women have been speaking on feminism for centuries, silently, being unheard, being unregarded.
If I may, because I want to be clear about two things. The first thing is what I said was I raised my daughters so they don't tolerate abuse. They don't see me beating on my wife. They don't see me doing things that would make that in their minds okay. My daughters don't and have not been beaten by me because I knew as a father, if I do that, then I'm setting a tone to make it okay for another man to hit them when they go out into the world. I also have made it very clear when I raise my daughters that, you know, these are certain things you don't tolerate. Ain't going to be a whole lot of raising voices, ain't going to be a whole lot of threats, all that stuff to be preventative. Secondly, Maria W. Stewart was feminism before feminism. I was speaking about modern feminism. And yes, we automatically know that concepts are taken. What I said was, and it is a historical fact, modern feminism tricked Black people. It was a divide and conquer act. I'm not divorcing the root of a thing from the fruit of a thing. I'm staying on the message that modern feminism, which was backed by the CIA, came in to disrupt the anti-war movement, disrupt the Black liberation movement, disrupt civil rights, and break up families. Because prior to that, statistically, the most married, most successful, most skilled group in America when it came to being together were Black people, because we were the number one laborers, and they split us up. Not only that, the government benefited from the fact that if you have a very large group that is not working and all of a sudden you get them in the workforce, you get double the taxes. So yes, acknowledgement to Maria Stewart and how her concept got bastardized, but that's not what's on the table here. I was speaking specifically about what the CIA op did, because the Central Intelligence Agency, the spy wing of the federal government, decided to fund feminism, not because they wanted women to have rights, but they wanted to keep us fighting each other.
Go ahead, Pretty.
So just to confirm, instead of speaking about the overdrafting of Black men in the Vietnam WAR, I don't know if we could say that word on here, when they returned, not receiving any GI benefits that they were promised or were told they would have, right? So thus removing all benefits. When they came back, not receiving care for PTSD and drug addiction that they from trauma they experienced while they were deployed. We're not going to talk about the guns epidemic, the drug epidemic in the Black community. We're not going to bring up any of those things to say that is what has caused the Black families to fall apart. We're going to talk about feminism.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this topic was about feminism specifically.
Gotcha. Gotcha. The first sign of somebody who's losing a debate is they go to other variables that are off topic to the main thing that's being discussed. That's how I know she was getting her ass kicked, because we weren't talking about all the other ways that the Black family has fallen apart. We were talking specifically about feminism. And now here she is saying like, well, what about this thing? What about that thing? It's no different than when we're having these conversations about dating and relationships and they say, well, the men do it too, when we're addressing the women by themselves. It shows a laziness. It shows a lazy mentality that women bring to this conversation, to where they don't want to really think deep, you know, or all of their arguments are very surface level. Let's get back into it.
Right? Feminism would not be one of those things. Feminism is actually the thing that held the Black community together when those attacks happened.
What?
Because let me make something very clear. When those men returned and they were strung out, when the gun epidemic and drug epidemic happened, all of those things, right? If women couldn't have cards in their name, if women couldn't work, if women couldn't own homes or at least rent homes with leases in their names, we would have been SOL. We would have been SOL, because our men were being disproportionately drafted. They were consistently being targeted. Over criminalization is a thing, all of those other facets. And if Black women did not have the right to be able to own and lease apartments, it would have been detrimental.
Black people, with all of our issues and with everything that we do need to correct as a people, I will say this: we've always been a durable group of people. We've always been a resilient group of people. We're great at adapting circumstantially to just about anything. She's painting a narrative where we just fall apart without women, even though there's no society anywhere in the world where men have fallen apart without their women. Even if you look back historically speaking, tell me about a society or inform me about a society that succeeded without their men, or if it wasn't for their women, the society would have collapsed. I haven't seen a lot of those.
And not all of these other things. Also, in the 1960s, when Black people, or 1955 was the height of Black marriage, was also the height of Black poverty. So no, we were not the most successful. We were the most active. Yes, we were the most active. We were overrepresented in the workforce and underpaid. Women were getting paid $1 a day. The average during that era was $5,600 per household. $1 a day, if she worked 7 days a week, is $365 a year.
Were Black people balling out during these times? Absolutely not. But there's an argument that no matter what Black people are earning individually, the success of a community will always largely be based on the success of its family structure. So regardless of the fact that we all weren't rich as Black families during these times, we were stronger as a community because we had more mother and father led households, which means more children graduated high school, more children succeeded, less children went to jail, even though you had to worry about, of course, racist white people at the time, and you had things to look over your shoulder about or whatever. You were better off in a family structure than what we're dealing with, making more money than they've ever made here in the present day, but our family structure is fractured. Hence why we're having these conversations in the first place. Because if everything was going good in the Black community, there wouldn't be shit to talk about now, would there? Let's go ahead and get back to it.
Good times.
All right, let's get some other folks in there.
Real quick though, can I? JR, just I need to ask you this. Were we talking specific? I have two questions for you, JR. The first one is: were we specifically talking about feminism?
Oh, in that last question, yes.
In that last question. So I was addressing the last question. Am I correct so far?
Yes.
Cool. To the entire panel, did I say at any time that feminism as a CIA op was the only exclusive cause? No, I did not.
No.
But I do address all of those things that you talked about in the Real Black Agenda. So yeah, no, this was not a thing. And I'm just not big on goalposts moving. I know what happened after 9. That's not the issue. What I said was historically accurate and apropos to the actual question.
Let him cook.
I'm trying to stay on the actual question.
All right. What's going on, Sweeney?
Sweeney, what up?
What's going on, y'all?
What's going on, Sweeney?
Golly, man.
What's on your mind?
Oh, shit. Well, I did want to say one thing, though, because something that Pretty Intellectual said, that she was referencing black male death at the hands of police. And she brought up the fact that we don't put the police deaths ahead of the women, or I can't remember exactly what she said. The reality. Go ahead, because I don't want to fuck this up.
She juxtaposed because the initial statement I was saying was how I view the role of the majority of men, because we were talking about in general. Then it was framed in one is too many, which I agree with. So it's kind of an argument that I wasn't making, but I just let it go forward because So that wasn't
She was also talking about globally, so not like on the local level. She was saying these are global numbers. This isn't like within our communities or anything of that nature. The goalpost keeps moving. That's all I have to say.
Fair enough. So here's the thing, though.
I thought the goalpost was global. Are we speaking just Black community?
I mean, I can address it globally. The thing is, though, is that are we really concerned about how many people die globally? Because the reality is that almost 80% of deaths globally from violence. And I'm not saying that's if you take war out. Take war out. Over 80% of deaths globally are men. So do we actually care, or are we only saying that we care because it just so happened to be women on the chopping block?
Gotcha. Sweeney, I'm going to say no, because if that were the case, they would be banging for number 1, heart disease, number 2, cancer, number 3, the vid, number 4, stroke. Right. We could keep going, but it's not even in the top 10 reasons. But I don't hear anybody bang for any of those reasons, to be honest. So it isn't just about the death. It's particularly against men sometimes.
This is beautiful because they're slowly just picking apart all this bullshit and realizing that everything that these feminists spew, all it is just to make men feel like shit. And the thing is content creators that are considered red pill or whatever take all this heat for things that these group of women are actually doing. They're actually aiming to just make men feel less or make men feel like they're superior to men or that they're better than men or that all along we never needed you, when men would never say anything like that. Even the strongest man out here would never say he doesn't need a woman.
That nigga gay.
Let's go ahead and get back into it.
Here's the reality of it. To create a human being, to recreate ourselves, you need one woman and one man. There's no way to do it without it. All the other shit is social. All the other things that we come up with in society to deal with one another, all that shit is social. What exactly do y'all want from us? What is let's come up with the social contract right now. What do y'all want from men in this relationship thing where to create the next generation? Because all of this shit is social. Because if y'all want it the way of y'all want us to leave y'all the fuck alone, we can do that. If y'all just want our kids, we can come over there, drop our nut off, and keep it pushing.
You keep talking, man.
No, we're not doing that either, fellas. No, we're not doing that. We're not giving women babies who we don't want anything to do with. We're not giving women babies who we don't have real intention with. If men were to decide that women have gone so bad that we're just gonna stay to ourselves or whatever, you just get the cheeks, you strap up, whatever. You don't have to give a woman a baby. Every woman who you deal with doesn't have to get a baby. You don't have to feel those sweet walls every single time. I mean, damn.
What the fuck you talking about?
Well, but here's the thing, Sweeney. Women, specifically us on the panel, literally sit here and say, this is what women think. This is what women want. And men are like, you got to follow my program. Okay, so do y'all want to know how we feel and what we need from you? Or is it we got to get on y'all program? We have to become the women that you want. We have to change ourselves.
Yes.
It's the second one. See, this is the problem with why I believe women who come from my communities, who share my reflection, don't do so well in dating. It's because they're the most confused about where their place actually is, what say they're supposed to have, who's in control and who isn't in control, who's in the lead and who isn't. I believe Black women struggle the hardest with identifying these roles. And it's been this tug of war for a long time about who's going to lead. But one thing is glaringly obvious. If you put any woman from any demographic in a leadership position all the time and you continue to defer to her, I promise you she starts to find you less attractive. So this is also proof that women, even when they're campaigning and appealing for leadership and power and say, they don't know what they're asking for.
How many men how many of the little broke dusties in the chat be like, she gonna be single forever? No, if men actually listened to what a woman's perspective was, and both of us, not just men, both of us adjusted for each other, then I think that things might work. but men want women.
Well, one of us is more accountable for the family. One of us will have to lose money to be in the relationship, in the marriage, and then the other person gains. The man loses, the woman gains. If the whole family crashes and burns and is a failure and goes bankrupt, everybody ends up in the poorhouse. Nobody will look to the woman and say, "How did you let your family end up in this circumstance, this awful, nasty circumstance, where now everybody has to come and pitch in to get you guys out of this hole?" They'll say, "How could that man allow his family to end up in that circumstance?" They say, "How could that happen with a man sitting over there?" That's what black people say more specifically.
To acquiesce. Men want women to be malleable so that we can form to their plan instead of finding out what we need to feel loved, valued, and appreciated.
So here's the thing, Bo.
Since the history of time, men and women have never loved each other the same ways. Where women are more emotional and vulnerable, men love women through forms of security, consistency, provision, protection. That's the whole polarity to the attraction. You're not like me. I bring something to the table that you don't bring. Then we both give each other what we're missing. It's the cornerstone of why we're doing all this stuff in the first place. But again, if the women want to secretly be men and you want men to be a little bit like women, that unbalances the scale, actually. Let's get back into it.
Because I get it. You're arguing this from a woman's perspective, but you also have to understand it from our perspective. For men, it sounds like an unfair deal. For a lot of men, it feels like a lot of responsibility and no benefit.
Sounds like.
So when we come to the table, now if you say, "Hey, look, we willing to come to the table and we're willing to take responsibility for whatever we do in the relationship, that we no longer put it on your plate as men," then I'm sure men will say, "Hey, look, we can get down with that. We can get down with if I ain't got to die every time you go outside and do something dumb, or every time, I got to be the one that puts my body on the line. You willing to jump out there too?"
Speak for yourself, brother. I wouldn't. And mainly because women aren't a threat. If women actually were capable of being able to do the things that men do in regards to keeping women safe, then maybe it would be like, okay, well, maybe you can help out on the protection side of the game. But we have denser bones. We're more muscular. We're just stronger and faster in so many ways.
With that, but every time, you have to understand that we are also constantly seeing in these situations, women tell men what they're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to, and oftentimes it has something to do with taking some form of responsibility for her and her actions.
Mm-hmm.
And so men come to the table and say, "Well, if I have to do all of that, then I need you to listen to me."
But I respect that, though, right?
It's no different than looking at the president of the United States, the person who holds that position. You don't have to think about any particular president. For even the president to stay safe, he has to give up private information, and his Secret Service detail has to have access to things that they probably wouldn't normally have access to in regards to his personal life to be able to keep him safe. Even someone as powerful as that has to lose something to ensure security and protection. Women see relationship as something where they get all of the amenities of being in the relationship, but the person who protects them and gives them the amenity has no say-so in what they do. Let's get back into it.
And it's not that, you know full well, Trev found out. I listen. I talk. You talk, I listen. But that's with a respectful man. The men that I am talking about are the men that do not listen. Men do not want to listen to women.
This is bullshit, because a woman who's feminine is just feminine. You're not feminine when you're around a specific kind of guy. And I would ask, why are you around guys who aren't to the fullness of who they're supposed to be? Why are you hanging around guys who aren't up to snuff? That's what I would ask. Why are you hanging out with loser guys?
Well, I don't know. I'm not a man. I can't tell you what women do for men. But
I was gonna say, because y'all don't listen.
Yeah, because listen, I'll be the first to tell you, if you ain't got a coochie and you don't date men, you can't say what a woman's experience with a man is. So I'll give you that, right? But personally speaking, and I'm pretty sure I've gotten a good feel for Ty. I know Pretty. We are respectful women. We are respectable women. And if a man is going to listen to us, we do the same. If you make us feel safe.
Shut the fuck up talking to me, bitch. I know you ain't shit.
We're the only group of men who are in negotiations with our women like this. They're like, I'll listen to you and I'll do all that stuff that all the other women do by default because they were raised right. I'm only gonna do it unless we're on the same level of respect. I need to know that you respect me. There's this muscling of there's just like they're trying to like muscle the femininity, and it's like it's bullshit. Go ahead and get back into it.
In the middle of the night. Safety and security for a woman is completely different than what men think, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you listen to what we need to feel safe, we can feel safe enough to shut up, sit down and shut up. Listen, I want a man to make me turn my brain off. I will do it. Listen, make the decision because I trust you.
I'm sorry to pause so much, but with BWs, it's always this narrative that someone else is stopping them from being a decent person. Everybody's stopping them from being feminine. I could be soft, but I can't because of this. At what point are you accountable for your own actions? Y'all gotta grow up.
But men do not do enough to listen to women, to listen to what they need to feel safe and secure, to sit down and shut up.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner for him. Are you the greatest?
Well, I know you want the best for him, but that best for him that you want ain't the best for him what he wants. And that's where the disconnect is. We can't accept the fact about the bell curve and what it means. We can't accept the fact that most men are always going to be average. And we can't accept the fact that if men start to elevate, then there's a thing called inflation that happens. Most men have always been average. Most men will forever be average. Facts.
Like, could you imagine, Ty, if you came home and you cooked every single day for your family, right? Every single day. You get up, you cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for them. Are you the greatest cook? No. You all right, but your family still eats it. And then your husband starts saying, man, you should really start taking cooking classes.
And I would be like, maybe I should. I don't understand why the idea. Because my cooking every day, like you said, could be basic. Taking cooking classes could only help me elevate. I just don't get the. I don't understand.
What planet would that go over?
But it doesn't. I really don't get it. I'm sorry, it's not resonating.
Think about it, Ty.
Because I don't understand how trying to elevate someone is a negative, and then also someone being a regular worker to a manager at Amazon is still an average person. That doesn't take them out of bracket of being average. That's still an average person. You still accepting them for who they are. And if he decided not to go past that, then that's fine. We still making it off his $60,000 and my money coming in too.
Now, Ty, you know darn well if you and your man was sitting at the dinner table, y'all was eating, and he said, man, I think you could probably take cooking classes. This is good, but you could be great.
Step it up.
It's a death sentence.
Not even that though. Like, I think that's dumb because all you could really be is specific about what it is that you want from a flavor profile. Because that's not a hard conversation to have.
It might not be a hard conversation when you guys are bullshit in this conversation. But you women know damn well that if mid-meal, like a guy's eating something that you made, and right in the middle of the meal, he's just like, yeah, this is actually pretty good, baby. You know what? You should take some cooking classes because I think that you can step this shit up a little bit. You already know he's not going to get any ass that evening. You already know he's going to bed cold and with that cold version, bonnet wearing, mask wearing, spooky version of yourself.
If I make some curry chicken and the man say, oh, this is too spicy. Like, cool, I'll put less Scotch bonnet in it. I'll make sure whatever. Like, if that's not a hard conversation to have, but if you're go to some cooking classes, actually go to my coworker, she be making me food all the time and I really like her, then
that's the problem.
You're being a fool, right? Like, you're purposely trying to be antagonistic when you can really just have an authentic conversation. Like, if you are somebody
Okay, so when a man is making a call for a woman to step up in an area where he thinks she should improve, he calls it antagonistic. Why am I not surprised by this?
You can easily meet somebody who can't handle flavor profiles you're used to cooking with. And that's a regular conversation. So that's not anything that has to be that adversive. Like it could just be a simple thing. But if you want to make it like oh, go to cooking classes. What's cooking classes gonna tell me?
What if you don't?
It's foolish. So like, or it is foolish to go about it that way, like because what we're trying to do is get to the optimal result, not to offend, not to like make somebody be on edge, but to actually try to be a partner with a person, which is what draws me to the point of why are we not wanting to partner with people?
Because one person has to have final say. There comes a time in every relationship where one person has final say. And one person is capable of more than the other. One person has been given a higher position in nature before we even start talking about money or anything else. And you women need to stop waiting for things like COVID and government shutdowns and things to happen for you guys to realize that men are better than you inherently before we even start talking about money. Let's get back into it.
This hierarchical submission nonsense all the time. And I'm sorry, I think it's one of my.
You know what I find interesting is that when I use the
hold on. Wait, I think she was finished.
Yeah, like why is it that we need to always be? And it's none of that. Genuinely, most of the time, especially when I hear Black people describe what they consider to be submission, it is partnership. You are describing partnership and you're saying submission. Like you're like, oh, submission doesn't mean they're a slave. It means that we're going to talk about things, but yeah, I made the final decision. But then if she's the expert, that means that she's going to get to make that decision, and that is a partnership.
Men are not thinking like that. Men who are sound in their mind. That isn't really how men are thinking about it. We're not looking to defer, say, to our woman. See, you would love to set it up like that. You're hypothetical. You would love to be painted that way so that you have credence or that your argument has some validity now. But that's not really how it actually works. That's not how it goes. A guy sees a woman who he loves and admires. He sees her counsel as something that's valuable, but he's not looking to defer to it, and it doesn't veto what he has to say just because she's strong in another area. If you think that a guy has to hear you out just a little bit more because you have a degree and you earned money, you're gonna die hard with men.
It would literally mean she is going to yield regardless of her expertise, regardless of what she knows to be true, regardless of if she understands the why behind why she has to do something, if she's bought into it or not. It literally means she is going to yield to your authority regardless. If there is a point that she can object, that is not submission. That is partnership. That is cooperation. So I think like, especially Black, I don't know why we're so obsessed with this word submission.
Men who are solid and men who have control of their households, there is no arguing. I know in your chaotic hyena mind, you see scenarios where women are questioning leadership. This is where she really starts to lose it and just start to just say anything to get women away from having to submit to men. Let's get back into it.
Considering our history, we should all be very averse to the word submission because we should be like, oof. Slavery.
I beg your pardon.
Probably shouldn't want anyone to submit. That's weird. Like we should probably not like that word, right? But somehow we're obsessed with it. And it's because of how male-centered we are as a society, where we feel so badly that we want Black men to get some semblance of power.
Out of all the things that I've heard since I've been doing this and hearing a Black woman try to maneuver away from serving a Black man properly, I must say this one is new. To try to say, oh yeah, because of Black people and what we've been through in slavery, because of what white people put us through, we shouldn't even want to say the word submission. It's just another colorful but yet insignificant tactic in derailing the conversation. And it also is not an intellectual point of view. it's trying to take one extreme thing that black people went through and distract people who are listening to this conversation from the fact that black women don't want to submit to their men. This is a cheap way to get out of following a man's leadership. You shouldn't want me to submit to you because black people, we've been through enough. You're trying to tell us what to do and not to go out and dress like a bimbo because you just need something to control because the white man's been controlling you for so long. Not gonna work. Keep that Cynthia G bullshit. It don't work. Men are past that. That is just a cheap shaming tactic, and I can't believe you would even try to use it. What makes you think that the word submit itself embodies all the problems surrounding men and women, or black men and women, and why we can't cooperate with each other and why we can't figure this out in dating and relationships? That of all the variables, just the word submit, that we're gonna narrow in on that. You sound ridiculous. Hope you guys got something out of the video. Hit the subscribe button, also the notification bell so you're notified every single time we post content just like this. I'll see you guys on the next one.